All right, today we're tackling a question that's becoming more important pretty much every single day. Who gets to profit from your identity? We're going to dive into the fascinating and, yeah, pretty complex world of personality rights in India. So just imagine this for a second. A company starts selling products using your face or your voice or maybe even just your name. Do you get any say in that at all? Well, that's the big question we're unpacking in this explainer. And, this isn't just some hypothetical. It literally happened to pop star Daler Mehndi. When these dolls just started showing up in shops, it basically forced the Indian legal system to face a huge question, really for the first time. What happens when a person's whole persona becomes a product? Right, so this case makes us look at a really fundamental legal idea. How much control do we actually have over who we are in the public and commercial world? And this is where we get into the whole concept of personality rights. So that idea is called personality rights, and it's not just about privacy, it's about the right to control the commercial use of your identity. We're talking about your face, your voice, your signature, all the things that make you, well, you. These rights say you get to decide how they're used to make money. Now, this is where it starts to get a little complicated. See, India doesn't have one specific law just for personality rights. And creating brand new laws, that's a whole thing. So when cases like Daler Mehndi's pop up, the courts have to get creative and basically piece together a solution from other laws that are already on the books. What they've ended up with is something like a legal patchwork quilt. They pull a piece from trademark law, grab another one from copyright law, and then stitch it all together with this concept called passing off, which is really just a law against pretending your product is someone else's. But you gotta ask, right? Is this the right way to do it? It feels a bit like using a hammer to turn a screw. Are these laws, which were designed for totally different things, really the right tools to protect something as personal as our own identity? So let's take a closer look at that first tool from the legal kit, trademark law. At first glance, it kind of seems like it could work. It protects brands, right? But once you start digging a little deeper, the problems become pretty obvious. Yeah, there's a huge clash in purpose here. Trademark law is all about protecting the consumer, making sure you don't accidentally buy a fake pair of shoes, for example. But personality rights, that's all about protecting the individual and their right to control their own persona. The focus is just completely different. And because the goal is so different, the whole framework just doesn't quite work. To win a trademark case, you usually have to prove that customers were confused. But with personality rights, the real issue isn't confusion, it's consent. Plus, it kind of forces a person to act like a business, to have a registered trademark. And seriously, how do you trademark a voice? The law requires a graphical representation, which makes protecting anything that isn't visual almost impossible. Okay, so trademark law is a square peg in a round hole. What about copyright? Let's see if that's a better fit for protecting someone's identity. And we see the same mismatch all over again. Copyright protects the expression of an idea, a specific photo, a particular song recording. It doesn't protect the actual subject. So it protects the picture of you, but it doesn't protect you. Personality rights are all about protecting the very persona that's the subject of those creative works. This leads to some really serious issues. I mean, think about it. A photographer snaps your picture. Who owns the copyright? The photographer does, not you. They get to control how that specific image is used. Or if a celebrity signs on for an ad, the company often owns the copyright, and that could let them use that image in ways the celebrity never ever intended, leaving them with very little power to stop it. So when you lay it all out like this, the problem becomes crystal clear, doesn't it? For personality rights, the only question that really matters is, was permission given? But trademark and copyright laws, they're busy asking completely different questions, like, is the consumer confused? Or is this an original work? They just aren't built to handle the main issue here, which is all about consent and control. So if the tools we have now don't work, what's the answer? Well, instead of trying to force these old laws to do new tricks, maybe the solution is to create a brand new tool, one that's designed specifically for this job. And this is what lawyers call a sui generis law. It sounds fancy, but it's a Latin term that just means of its own kind. So think of it like a custom-built law, designed from the ground up for one single job: protecting a person's identity from being used without their permission. Simple as that. And you know what? This isn't just some abstract idea. A small island territory, the Bailiwick of Guernsey, actually did this way back in 2012. They created a law that lets people register their image rights as a form of property. It created a clear, predictable system for everyone involved. So here's the bottom line. We're living in a time where a person's image and identity are incredibly valuable economic assets. Just like this quote says, for a lot of people, their persona is their most profitable creation. The law really needs to catch up to that new reality.
And that brings us to a huge point for our future. With the rise of AI, deepfakes, digital avatars, the line between our real selves and our digital selves is getting blurrier by the second. The unauthorized use of our likeness isn't just about a toy doll or a billboard anymore. It's about protecting our very identity in a world where it can be copied and pasted with just a few clicks. And this question, it's not just for celebrities anymore. It's for every single one of us.